Check this out. You can see their strategy has 4 aspects: attract, convert, immerse, and extend. You attract people by airing content for free. Then you convert them to pay-per-view. Finally, you throw more experiences and product their way. It's always about feeding more and more people into that loop. So what the UFC ends up needing more than anything is content. And somehow the mob comes to the rescue. In Japan, a rumor starts going around that the Japanese mafia, the Yakuzas, are involved with Pride FC. They are using the organization to launder money by gambling on fights and fixing them. Once the cable companies learn that, they cut all ties with the organization. Pride FC practically goes bankrupt within the span of a year. And guess who buys them? The UFC jumps on the opportunity, acquiring all their fighters and entire library of content in the process. The UFC starts airing free fights the same nights that their competitors have pay-per-views. So if you're the average mixed martial arts fan on a Saturday night, would you rather pay to watch a second-tier organization or just watch some of the best UFC and Pride fights for free on TV? That's how the UFC destroys competition.
Is WEC merging with the UFC?
Yes.
UFC has purchased Strikeforce. Is that true?
That is true.
When they buy them out, they get even more content to add to their library, which they can air for free and drive more competition out of business. It's exponential.
We've got a library of 20,000 hours of original content.
Why did you go out and purchase Strikeforce?
We need more fights. We need more fights, more fights.
In 2011, one of Dana's biggest goals comes to fruition.
We ended up doing a huge deal with Fox.
Because this is a really, really big day.
This is what I always wanted. What we have is a lot of content. And we needed to get our content out there, and they spread our content across all their platforms. Fox is the #1 network in the country. And all those people out there that thought I was a lunatic 10 years ago when I said that this was going to be the biggest sport in the world.
Some still do. Some still do.
I know.
Call it a coincidence, but a few months after the Fox deal, ESPN comes after the UFC.
You ever hear of John Skipper?
No.
John Skipper ran ESPN. Hates UFC.
Hates it.
Hates it.
Let's talk about Fox Sports. Okay, so these guys have just launched.
We're happy. We like competition. It's fun.
They release an Outside the Lines piece, which targets UFC's practices, but more specifically, fighter pay.
ESPN doesn't care about the sport. ESPN hates this sport. They won't even cover it. They're dirty. They're dirty. They lie. And they never really give you all the facts.
The piece is followed by an antitrust lawsuit against the UFC.
The multi-billion-dollar antitrust lawsuit it's currently facing from former UFC fighters.
We filed this case in December of 2014 on behalf of a group of mixed martial arts fighters who fought for the UFC.
The government came after us and called us a monopoly.
I do believe they have a monopoly. I don't know how anyone could think they don't.
The lawsuit claims the UFC, quote, engaged in an illegal scheme to eliminate competition.
I mean, anyone that starts to even be up and coming at all, they buy them out or they drive them out.
That allows it to pay fighters, quote, a fraction of what they would earn in a competitive marketplace.
We're spending, $7-8 million a year trying to defend ourselves from the government as a monopoly.
It works. The government dropped the case. The UFC keeps on expanding.
There was a time when Marshall Zalaznick was one of the most powerful people in the UFC.
What is your job?
To find opportunities in the international market outside of the US and Canada.
Fighters are key when it comes to expansion in international markets. They open up the door to the countries. George St. Pierre opens up Canada. Michael Bisping opens up the UK.
We've added about 20 states in the last 3 years.
We're everywhere but New York and getting close.
And they've cleaned up their act enormously.
We've done fights in Australia, all throughout Europe.
In Scandinavia, Italy.
We're doing Poland this year.
To do the first event in the Middle East is very, very thrilling.
2 years ago, we did 1 fight in Brazil. Last year, we did 3. We'll do 7 this year and 9 next year.
We're very bullish on what India can be.
We just put on an event over in Macau. It was the most successful event in the history of Macau. We break the arena records with ticket sales. It's usually us and the Rolling Stones. Abu Dhabi now is a partner. These guys are 10% partners too.
Ireland. Those fans feel like you're neglecting them. What's going on there?
What's up, man? UFC, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Conor McGregor opens up Europe. He's followed by Ronda Rousey, who starts a female division.
Weili Zhang, our Chinese world champion, when she became a champion, she ignited China.
And finally, after 8 years of negotiations, Mark Ratner gets MMA legalized in the state of New York.
And when I heard the final vote tally, that was the emotional moment for me.
Congratulations on passing the bill. It was a long time coming. I think this really completes the journey for MMA.
An 8-year gestation period? Is that what that was?
That was exactly right. And so this is the baby, and now we'll have the big coming out party November 12th. The big moment for me was at the Garden when Conor was fighting Eddie, and the excitement, the crowd, the energy. That was the special night.
The Fertittas were ready to get out, and they sat me down and said, we're going to sell this thing. And I didn't believe it was going to happen at all. You know, these are my best friends. We'd done it together. And I went up into a hotel room and didn't come out for a few days.
Wow.
Didn't sleep, didn't eat. And Lorenzo had to come get me out of there. Lorenzo looked at me and he says, dude, I'm done. Be happy for me. And then I got it.
And sold it for?
$4.025 billion.
The transaction was the largest in sports history.
This is the man who buys a UFC.